He's also a good pass blocker, which will help. And 2,500 yards in his career at Florida State. The youngster from Zellwood, Florida, now becomes a member of the Miami Dolphins. One little thing we will add, with Ryson not going in either 8 or 9, the top 2 receivers are Ryson and Hartley Dykes. They may fall all the way, just not because their value isn't as good, just the way the draft is going. They may go down to be available for the Jets, Seattle, who I don't think will go that way, and New England. 14, 15, 16 are now doing a little dance because they may have a shot at a receiver they never thought they had their chance at. Let's go to Miami and Sammy Smith. They need defense, Tom. Is that a good pick?
Well, I mean, Sammy Smith is going to fit into anybody's offense. He's an excellent back if he can show up, and you know, he's had a few injury problems during his career. The thing is when you need defense the way the Dolphins need defense, I can't explain you going after a guy like this and not trying to fortify your defensive side of the football.
I want to get into something else with you guys. Here's Jim McMahon. It still may happen. Jim McMahon, Gerald Riggs being bantered about like they may go to other teams, stars of their teams. They go back to their team, Joe and Tommy, this fall. Do they put that out of their mind? Sure, they are professionals, or do you have to live with that for the rest of your life, that the team is not that high on you anymore?
What happens is you have to understand, you're dealing with guys with major egos. And you really have, you've got guys who have egos that are, you know, second to owners and coaches as far as where their positions are. That's an insult to Jim McMahon. Even that his name is mentioned in a trade, even that he wants out. Now the fact that he wants out and he can't get out, that makes it even worse. We saw that with Jay Schrader in Washington a year ago. He forced that trade to the Raiders. As far as Gerald Riggs goes, that's not going to be such an insult. He's a great football player, and he's under contract. He's going to contribute to that football team. But Jimmy Mack, I think, wanted out sincerely because I don't believe he's going to win the job from Tom Zach. I think they're going to go to camp and say it's open. But Jim has been hurt a lot, and he's going to be battling himself in injuries to gain the #1 starting job, as well as Tom Zach in competition. When we get to the Chicago picks, that's when you may see some, you might hear Jim's name come up again. As far as the Miami choice goes, absolutely drives me crazy. Cannot understand why in heaven's names the Miami Dolphins would not try to improve their secondary, if no place else. Lewis Oliver should have been their pick.
Or Donnell Wolford, who is the top corner. The next pick is Phoenix. Now, Phoenix has 2 picks in the first round, the 10th and the 17th. I don't think they're going to pick Kelly Stoffer again. They've tried that a few times. You never know what the Phoenix Cardinals are going to do. They always hold the first curveball or the knuckler on draft day, and it looks like the card has gone up. You've got Phoenix with 2 picks coming up, and then with 10 and 17, and then the Bears with 3 first-round picks. I want to get back to that comment about Riggs and McMahon in a moment, but here's the Cardinals pick with the commissioner.
Phoenix Cardinals, first round selection. Eric Hill, linebacker, Louisiana State.
There is a good
Next
pick.
up,
that's an un-Cardinal
Chicago
pick.
Bears on a choice from the LA Raiders.
We hate to say that, but let's face it, the Cards have provided us with curveballs. I just want to quickly finish that thought, Tommy. Was your name ever mentioned in a trade that you know of with Denver, or some of your teammates who are outstanding defensive players, and did it affect them after, even if they stayed with the Broncos?
Well, I was not personally, but some of my teammates, Lyle Alzado, when he went in the deal to the Raiders, some of the players were mentioned, and I agree with Joe. When you insult a ball player, especially a guy who has served you as much as Jim McMahon has served Chicago, he is not going to be able to forget about it, and you may be opening up a can of worms not only right now at draft time, but when you get to camp, you may have a very hard time dealing with Jim McMahon.
All right, Eric Hill goes to Phoenix, who is, that's their first of 2 first-round selections. Chicago has the next 2 picks. Let me throw it out. I'm going to guess Donnell Wolford, cornerback, and the offensive lineman of their choice would either be Heck or Brian Williams. Let's go upstairs to the gallery gods and the god himself, Bino Cook.
Well, all the crazy people in New York are not at 42nd and Times Square. Some of them show up here on the balcony for the draft, and we got 3 fans from Miami. They needed frequent miles, so they came here, and they're all shocked over the choice of Sammy Smith, running back. You're shocked.
How you doing?
Yeah.
You know, I thought they would take Louis Oliver, but I guess they want more offense. They'll have to win by 45 points every game now.
Well, I want to ask you, you come up here. Why? I mean, you could stay at home.
To have fun.
To have fun. To watch Miami blow it in the draft again.
Now, he's a bachelor. You 2 are married. I mean, did you have trouble getting permission?
wasn't hard at all. We just had to make sure we came here and stood next to you. That was all we had to do.
Look, Bino, we made them an offer they couldn't refuse.
Okay, let me ask you, what do you think of the draft choice of Sammy Smith?
Somebody who's 28 in the league in defense, you would have thought they would have drafted somebody to help in that end, not more offense.
Are the Miami fans critical of the draft choices in the last few years of the Dolphins?
They're very upset with them, at least the ones where I am.
Your season ticket holders, are you upset too?
Yes, I am.
Who would you have drafted?
Louis Oliver.
Louis Oliver or anybody on defense?
Louis Oliver or Eric Hill, somebody that's a big hitter.
Okay, I'm going to make it quick. The second round, quick, just you. Who would you pick?
Tracy Rocker.
Okay, now we will interview some of these fans later this afternoon. Now back to Chris Berman.
All right, Bino, thank you very much. And one of the reasons they may have gone with Sammy Smith is that they did not sign Melvin Bratton, a guy who would have been a first-round pick a year ago, broke his leg. They had until midnight last night to sign him. Did not. Melvin Bratton is available in this draft. Two other notes. Mike Merriweather has signed with the Minnesota Vikings. That trade is now pending only a physical, and the Steelers will get 2 first-round picks. And one other pearl of wisdom, Bert Grossman, defensive end, now a member of the Chargers. He is half-brother to Margot Adams. But we throw that in before we return to the Marriott Marquis in the draft in New York in a moment.
Once again, the automotive world is focusing on Mercedes-Benz because the engineers who created the 190 class and a whole new automotive category have just recreated it.
Give me 2001, sir.
Introducing the Mercedes-Benz 190 class, the second generation.
When rain comes into view, cool air surrounding. Call me rain. The air of quality, cools with efficiency. Rain. Give me a ring. Call me rain. You can depend on me. Rain. Call me rain. Cool air of quality. Call me rain.
He's Gene Stallings, head coach of the NFL's Phoenix Cardinals.
Over the years, I've coached some of the greatest athletes in the NFL, and I know the rewards of victory. But none have been more important to me than my work with this young man, John. When he was born, he was diagnosed to have Down syndrome. In some ways, he would never be like other children. For him, there would never be a chance to play in the National Football League. But over the years, I've seen him grow. He's 24 years old now, and his progress is measured with little victories. The times that we spend together are very special to me. John made this for me, and he made it with a great deal of love. The same kind of love that I have for him. Because you see, John is my son. You ready, Johnny? Let's go right. When you support the United Way, you're saying to people like John, don't give up. We'll give you a helping hand. You can make it. The United Way. It brings out the best in all of us.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
Who says 35 cents to get nothing today? You get a whole half candy bar, exotic plant, a compact car, or you can get a Whopper.
Just buy a Whopper and get a second one for only 35 cents.
A 35-cent Whopper.
So Chicago, as we are back live in New York City, about to make the first. Maybe they'll make them bang bang. They go 11 and 12. Number 11 selection, that the Bears own by virtue of the Willie Gault trade. Then, of course, the number 12 overall selection in round one, part of their compensation for the departure of free agent linebacker Wilbur Marshall last year to the Washington Redskins. Just again to backtrack, we have had 10 selections, a very quick first round, and 9 minutes now remaining for Chicago to make their pick. San Diego for Bert Grossman, and the number 8 hole, Miami for Sammy Smith, running back out of Florida State, and Phoenix for Eric Hill. You heard the talk about Miami's crying needs, and they seem to be annual ones for help on defense, but they went offense. And Chris touched on it a moment ago before the break, the fact that Melvin Bratton is in this draft pool. He did not reach an agreement. Bratton, a talent whose opportunity stalled by circumstance. It's a long road back. He runs dirt hills incessantly. to a pounding beat. Melvin Bratton runs